Success Strategies. Thanks for being with me today. So, today I've got another episode with Betsy Butterick with me. And today I asked her a question on communication. Betsy's a communications expert and a coach, and she's got a vast amount of knowledge and expertise. And so I love what she shares with us today. I asked her about having championship communication and how you go about having that with a team and what it means. And so take a listen, and I'll be back with you in a moment.
A quiet gym's a losing gym, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Talk to me about championship communication.
Championship communication for me, and the framework that I like to use when addressing communication in a championship context is, if you look at high performing teams, whether those are sports teams or corporate teams or groups of individuals, high performers, there's a buzzword most often associated with those kinds of teams, and that word is chemistry. Chemistry is formed through connection, and for me, at the heart of connection is communication. So when we start to become intentional about the way we communicate with each other, we stand a much better chance of forming the connection that we know we need in order to achieve our greatest success. So for me, yes, there's so many different things that we know if we're going to win a championship, we need to focus on all these different elements. For me, the vein I've chosen to focus in is on communication. And championship communication at a base level means becoming more aware of how we're communicating and the different ways that we're communicating and why we're communicating. Can we bring greater intention to our communication? So often, communication is something that we all do, and we only pause to be intentional about it when we have something important to say, whether we're writing an important email or we're about to give a talk to our team, whether it's pre-game or to tell them, in a COVID landscape that, hey, we thought we had a season and now we don't. So there's moments when we bring that intention to our communication. If we can increase that frequency, I think we all stand to be better communicators. And that's the other thing, is that it's possible. Communication is a skill. It's not something that, is a natural talent or a gift, although many people think, wow, Betsy, you're so well spoken, or you have the gift of language. Sure, that may be true. And I like to say I've had the opportunity to practice so often over my life, much of which happened during my coaching days. You think about whether you're talking to your team or you're in a camp environment and now you're speaking to 400, 500, young campers. It's like there's so many different arenas that coaching allows us to practice our oratory skills, our language skills, our communication skills. But communication is a skill that anybody can practice at any time. And that's what I love about communication.
What are your thoughts about, of course, there needs to be great communication throughout, but what are your thoughts, using basketball as an example again, communication from within, say, the players on the floor? Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts around the importance of that?
For me, it's crucial, right? As coaches, we can't play for them. Mm-hmm. And so using language as a tool to support and help direct the outcome that we're looking for. But player communication, and this is the interesting part, Jeff, is I think oftentimes when it comes to communication, we think about like, this is the right way or the wrong way, or this is the best way, and anything other than that isn't so good. I've seen really successful teams communicate in a variety of ways. And I think about scaling it back to a family. So my family, there's 5 of us in our family. The Buttericks are not a loud people. The joke is that my parents should have been golf announcers because, they're very quiet people. I wasn't a yeller as a coach. I did sometimes when appropriate. And I will guarantee that every student athlete that was part of that team at that time can tell you to this day exactly what I said, because it was warranted, right? So again, what's the intention behind our choice as we're communicating? Mm-hmm. But coming back to the family, I had a friend who I remember going over to her house, and her family yelled and screamed all the time. And younger me was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they do this. Like, this is terrible. This is not productive communication. What I learned in spending time with her family is that this is how they've chosen to communicate with each other. So for them, it is productive. It's my judgment of it being destructive that's my barrier, that's getting in the way of my understanding of what communication looks like. Same thing in teams. So it's, not that we're not going to disagree or we're only going to use positive statements. It's how are we agreeing to disagree? what's the language of our program? And I think that's one of the most enjoyable aspects of my job is when I go to observe a program and I'll watch their practices, their training sessions, their team meetings, their staff meetings. What is the language that they use to communicate with each other? And then how can I help improve upon the foundation they already set? What are the small shifts in language? Rarely is it big monumental things. It's these small shifts, these small changes that allow us to become more effective with our communication. Knowing that in sport, in basketball, if you're running up and down the court, we don't have time to stop and have a long dialogue and explanation and discourse about, the last play. It's like, how do we succinctly communicate, not just in words, but in our body language, with our eye contact, that which needs to be communicated in order to address what needs to happen now. That's the challenge of communication in sport.
Hey, thanks, Betsy. I really appreciate that. I love how you talked about how high-performing teams have chemistry and how that chemistry is developed through connection, and that's all done through communication. And the other part that I really loved what you talked about is being intentional with our communication. I think as we focus more and more on being intentional with all of our communication, we're going to see amazing results from that. So thanks for sharing that with us. Betsy is a communication expert and an incredible coach. And so please go follow her. I'll put all of her links in my show notes, but also you can just go to betsybutterick.com and you'll be able to connect with her there, find out everything she's got and find all her social media there. But check our show notes because it'll all be in there. Again, if you're a high performer trying to get to the next level, start with your morning routine. Start with your daily success strategies that you need to put into place, the habits that you do every day. Go get my free mindset questions at jeffheggie.com/mindset. Just start there. Start every morning with your mindset questions and do that for a month and see the difference it makes and gets you on the right track. Thanks for being with us. Please share this with someone that could get a lot of benefit out of it. Otherwise, I will be back with you and see you tomorrow. Thanks.